listening to the Educated Cowgirl Podcast, Season 2, Episode 6. Hey Cowgirls! On the last episode, we talked about sports medicine and the value physical therapy has on our horses. But today, we are talking about benefits horses have in therapy for people. Otherwise known as hippotherapy, equine-assisted therapy has been seen to have some real positive changes in the lives of many adults and children, from PTSD, autism patients, and other behavioral issues. We all know as horse people the special bond that can be formed between horse and rider, and how just petting or grooming a horse can make us feel better. But research has shown that it can create real positive changes in the brain. And today's guest knows that more than anyone. Lindsey Gabbard, owner of branded equine-based therapy services in Harrison, Arkansas. Growing up with an aunt that is a legend in the Western and equine industries, Patti Colbert, Lindsey was fortunate to not only have been bitten by the horse bug, but have someone that encouraged it. With this love for horses and her educational background, she has been able to operate a very successful business and create a community with her clients, including a unique and special program for veterans and first responders that you will hear more about in the episode. You will really be able to hear the true love she has for what she does to help horses and people. Seeing the connections created between clients and horses, as well as the community she has formed with the veterans she has worked with, really inspires her to keep her business going and really shows the power the equine industry can have on the nation and the world. So, without further ado, let's get into the episode. Hey, and welcome to the Educated Cowgirl Podcast, hosted by yours truly. My name is Abby Carpenter, and I am a cowgirl and equestrian through and through. I started this podcast wanting to make more of an impact in the equine industry. That's why I am making it my mission to help promote the industry to the public through sharing my love for horses through education and bringing other experts and professionals onto the podcast with me to discuss important topics that impact the horse community. So whether you are a crazy horse lady like me, want to learn more about horses, or want to learn more about the industry, you've come to the right place. On this podcast, we will be talking about ownership, horsemanship, fitness, faith, breeds, and so much more. We believe that it doesn't matter what type of saddle you ride in or the breed of horse you may ride. We all contribute to this community to make it great, and that there is always something to learn from the back of your horse. So grab a coffee and get ready to take some notes, and let's get started. This is the Educated Cowgirl Podcast. Okay, so welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm excited with the lovely guest I have for you today, as she is not only the sweetest lady I've ever met, but also such a great businesswoman. Thank you again for taking time out of your schedule to talk with me today.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, what you do, and a fun fact about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Lindsey Gabbard. I am the founder and executive director at Branded Equine-Based Therapy Services in Arkansas. And fun fact, that's a good question. I actually grew up near Detroit, Michigan, not near horses at all, and made sure to find my way to them. And when I wasn't riding horses, I played water polo, which is not a sport that a lot of people know about.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, so going back to the beginning of your journey, can you dive deeper into your background, how horses were involved in your life, and then how that led you to the business you currently operate?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I was saying, I actually grew up in Michigan, in the suburbs of Michigan. So, my aunt owned a ranch, and so that was my sanctuary. That was where I found everything good. I was hooked from a very young age, as she likes to call it, had the horse bug. So I made sure to be there as much as I possibly could. My parents used to ask me if I wanted to go to Disney or anywhere else, and I was like, nope, just take me to the ranch. um, so she really fostered my love for equines, and she used to lead for trail rides and things like that. And so we competed in local shows and things like that. But just kind of always had a deep passion for horses. And so going on in my undergraduate, I went to a school in Texas that was near a therapeutic riding center called Rock Ride-On Center for Kids. And so I was getting a undergraduate in special education, early elementary and special education. So they kind of combined my love for horses with special needs, individuals with special needs. So I went and got my therapeutic riding license. So I was a therapeutic riding instructor there for several years, and then got the privilege of helping with their veterans program and their horses and things like that. So really kind of got my base in equine therapy there. And then while I was in college, I was also exposed to the Extreme Mustang Makeover, as some people know. So where they get a wild Mustang and get 100 days to train it. So I competed in that Mustang Makeover, and then I went on to further my education to get a master's in speech therapy. Had various equine jobs throughout that, and then actually worked for a hospital coming out of my master's degree, and enjoyed it, loved the patients and things like that, but really kind of felt like I wasn't using all of my gifts. And decided to start a nonprofit called Branded Equine Therapy. And that was about 3 years ago, and the rest is history since then. So
Yeah. No. So you may have said it, but how did you go from Michigan to Arkansas? Like, how did that move happen?
yeah, so I went from Michigan to Texas because Texas was one warmer.
Yeah.
Not a big a fan of the cold. And did my undergraduate down there also to be closer to my aunt's ranch in Texas. And then my husband actually has family in Arkansas. And so when I was looking at master's programs, the University of Arkansas had a great master's program in speech therapy, which is what my master's in. So that's how we kind of landed in between.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So speaking of your aunt, there's so many things we could say about her. She's done so much for the industry. And she'd probably blush if she heard this. But she is one of the legendary cowgirls in your family and a legend in her own right. I know that she really influenced your love of horses and getting you bitten by the horse bug. But how else did growing up with her impact you in your life and in business?
Yeah. Yeah. So my aunt is Patti Colbert, for those of you who don't know. And Patti is just that boss mare, a badass, an incredible woman, and not just for the equine industry, but for so many people that look up to her, including me. I mean, having her as my role model was a huge blessing. It was life-changing, to say the least. And she taught me a lot, not just my horse background, but to be able to, don't be afraid to take risks, and don't be afraid to, throw out crazy ideas. I mean, she had a crazy idea, throw 100 Mustangs in 100 days, and then, compete and look at what it is now, So, so just being, being true to yourself, and making sure that, you're following your passion, you're following your heart, and not being afraid to, do that in a way that maybe a little risky, but could absolutely pay off for you and your horse and, the industry and things like that. So.
Yep. She's definitely very inspirational in terms of getting people to speak up for themselves and really put themselves out there. So
Absolutely, yeah. She has a great gift in getting people out of their shell,
mhm.
and and empowering women and or anybody, not just women, but to follow their dreams and follow their passions, and I think that she does an incredible job at that too.
Yes, yes, for sure. For sure. Okay, so with your business branded equine based therapy, what was it that guided you to start this business, and when you were starting out, did you have any challenges? And if so, how did you overcome
Yeah, absolutely.
them?
So I created branded equine therapy as kind of a meld of passion and profession. So we provide hippotherapy, so which is speech, physical, occupational therapy, incorporating horses into therapy sessions. We also have a veteran and first responder program where they get paired with a wild Mustang, and able-bodied lessons and things like that. So it was kind of a brainchild of equine experience in my past, my education, the therapy aspect, the hippotherapy, and then watching, going through the equine or the Mustang makeover, and then the veterans program, and watching how much that worked for me and how equines, or excuse me, how equine therapy is beneficial for veterans as well. So it was kind of a dream and a goal, of mine to create a organization that encompassed, not just things that were, showcasing how incredible these horses are, for not just physical but mental health as well,
Hmm.
and so it was not without challenges. It still is. I mean, there's a challenge every day, right?
Yeah.
We are a nonprofit. Um, so there's unique opportunities and challenges that go with that as well.
Hmm.
Funding, stability, those kinds of things. And you overcome them one at a time.
Hmm.
And you realize how much of an impact you're making, and how how you can move forward and things like that, and so yeah, and I won't say it's easy
Yeah.
at all. I would love if it would be a little easier some days, but it's definitely worth it. So
Yeah. And then who or what inspires you to keep going through those challenges, even on the worst of days?
yeah. So seeing the joy that comes from connecting these horses with these clients is probably one of my biggest motivators. The smiles on their faces, the concepts that they grasp, the steps that they get to take that they may not have taken before, those kinds of things. Those are the moments you have to hold on to, right? When
Hmm.
everything else is really hard. Um, and I also really wanted my kids to grow up in a way that was something that I was proud of, and so I wanted to be an example for them. And so just the other night, I was putting out horses after everything was done, and they both jumped on one together. I have a 3 and a 5-year old, and they both jumped on one together, and they were just laughing and happy. And so being able to provide that for them too, has been a big motivator. So
Love that. I love that. Yes. So you mentioned it a little bit in a program that you offer that I would love to hear more about, and something that really fascinated me when we met in January at the Boss Mares event is Operation Branded. Can you talk more about how you started this program and what has been the biggest impact for you that you've seen from it?
yeah. So Operation Branded is a program. It's an 8-week program where veterans and first responders are paired with a wild Mustang. And so they get the chance to pick their own horse, pick their own Mustang, and walk through the program. We help them by training them how to gentle their horse, how to gain their trust, things like that. So, and then actually at the end of the program, they get the opportunity to take that horse home with them and continue their journey together. So it's a pretty unique and pretty incredible program. We've had some really great success with it already. It's a little risky and it's a little out there.
Yeah.
But we found that, especially the veterans, they've operated on such a high level of adrenaline, in so many situations, and that they have a hard time staying present, and they have a lot of, different things that they're kind of coping with and things like that. And so this program, with a wild horse, if you're not present, you're run over, right?
Yeah.
You're done. And so these horses mirror them in a way that some others, can't. And so they find not only that that horses kind of like them in several ways, but it also helps them kind of create a new level of purpose, that they didn't have before. And so I think that's probably kind of goes into that biggest impact from it, is that we've seen, well, I mean, I could tell you one guy's still on this earth because of that program, and that, if that's not powerful enough, I'm not quite sure what is, but
Yeah.
But just bringing purpose and something to look forward to, giving them a fresh kind of chapter, and not only just with their horse, but the other veterans and first responders in the program too. They create kind of their own community, which also helps them, make it even, or helps the program make an even bigger impact than the horse's bond itself.
Yeah, no. Yeah, because you see a lot of other hippotherapy-based programs have programs for veterans and stuff like that, but they're really usually on their therapy horses. So the fact that they are training a wild horse themselves, and they have to be patient with that horse and stuff like that. How else do you think a veteran or a first responder dealing with like PTSD or something like that, how else do you think, like, have you seen them change through the program?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of our veterans, when they first come, that's kind of the last thing that they want to do is one, talk to other people,
Yeah.
and then two, get out, and be vulnerable, especially to this wild animal, right?
Yeah.
And so we've watched this connection that grows, over the weeks, where they may start the program and they aren't even in it, they think that they're, getting a horse for their wife, or they're just there because somebody said they had to be, or, those kinds of things. And then it turns into something that they're really passionate about, and it gives them a whole new kind of lease on life. And so it's been an incredible journey so far, and I know we're just at the beginning of it. But yeah, so there's something special about put yourself out there with the risk of, this is a wild animal. But if you can get through to that animal, and you can build its trust from the ground up, that how incredible is that, and how incredible is that bond, and these horses do almost anything for you once you get to that point, So.
Yes. Yeah. And these horses need that leader to work with in their life. And so they're looking to that man or woman to be that for them. So
yeah, and a lot of these horses, I mean, a lot of history of the missings, but they need a place to go, right? You're not just helping that participant, but you're helping that horse too. You're helping them have a new chapter that they might not otherwise have too. So.
Yeah, and do any of these like guys that go through the program, do they end up wanting to work more with horses or be trainers, or do other Mustang programs, or?
Yeah, so we love when they get really connected and they actually come back as mentors. So we have like 10 mentors this next round that are all veterans that have been through the program or first responders, and they're coming back to help new
Mm-hmm.
participants, which I think is that's the highest praise you can get, right? Is if you have people that are connected that want to help, do it, further that benefit, not just for them, but for somebody else.
Yeah, no, I love that. Okay, so along with all these amazing impacts we've talked about, what do you think the benefits of equine-based therapy services have on people in the industry and the public? And how do you think it has changed the industry for the better?
Yeah, so I think the equine therapy industry is growing as for good reason, right? Because it not only makes a connection that kind of slows you down in a fast-paced world,
Mm-hmm.
but it also is beneficial not only physically but mentally as well. So we've seen a lot of benefits into just the equine industry itself. A lot of our therapy horses on the hippotherapy side are what I jokingly say semi-retired, right? So they have had a life of their own, that they, whether it be, roping or, trail riding or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
and are maybe a little bit older, but are still looking for a purpose and still, still healthy and happy, and now get to serve in a way that is different, so it kind of creates a second chapter for a lot of these horses,
Mm-hmm.
that they get to kind of live out their, their prime, and then still come back and help, so I think that's a huge benefit of, that people may not realize, is that a lot of our therapy horses, if your horse is getting a little bit up there, but you still may have, he still may have he or she, excuse me, um, a lot of life left in them, that a therapy center might be a good option for them, whether that be donating them or selling them at a lower cost or things like that, so that they can go on and have a second career. Um, and I think it draws, others into the industry that may not know about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's a lot of people that, that equine therapy opens a door that, some of our clients may not have ever gotten the chance to ride a horse, or even
Mm-hmm.
really, had the chance to experience that. And so I think that's a unique benefit too, maybe parents searching for, therapy for their child for, speech or physical therapy or things like that. And they may happen upon it, and it may be something that's, life changing for
Yeah.
them. So, so I think it's definitely a benefit to not only the equine industry, but the general public as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think something that a lot of people are also starting to realize is that this type of therapy doesn't just help with cognitive development for like autistic kids or
Mhm.
kids that have specific disorders, but it can also help mentally the kids that are maybe a little bit shyer or just don't have the social skills that they normally would develop
Yeah.
in school. So,
Yeah, horses help you build a level of confidence that it's hard to find anything else, right?
yes.
So if you can handle 1,000-pound animal,
Yeah.
you're probably going to do pretty good in other things too. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, for sure. So is there any misconceptions that people think about equine therapy that you can bust or dispel for us?
I mean, a funny one I get all the time is his hippotherapy. You're doing hair therapy with hippos. And I said, no, hippo is a Greek word for horse.
Yeah.
It means we're doing therapy that incorporates horses into therapy sessions, And then just, the people jokingly are like, oh, where you sit down and talk about the horse's feelings, and things like that.
Yeah.
So it may not be a typical kind of therapy, but it's still impactful just the same.
Yes. No, I love that. That's funny. Okay, so as you've been involved with this field for a while, have you seen any new research or findings about equine therapy, that you feel people should know more about?
Yeah, I mean, we all, as horse people, we know that it helps us, right? I mean, that it's a good workout when you ride and you feel better and those kinds of things. But there's a lot of really great articles that are starting to come out about exactly more specifics, more data about this really works, not just for children with autism or things like that, but
Hmm.
um like there's one that's really great about the physical benefits of synchronizing rhythmical movement that retains and how much horses, so just walking, versus riding, retains muscle retention for functional movement, like 30 to 40 times better in the same amount of repetitions. And so I mean we see lots of examples of how equine therapy can be beneficial in multiple ways. There's another one that just came out about PTSD, and decreasing how equine therapy, even groundwork with horses, can increase positive changes, decrease in anxiety, things like that. And it's actually, there's some coming out about actual brain changes, so we know you feel better, right? But there's been actually some research into not just physical benefits, but positive changes in your brain just from being around them, which I think is pretty incredible. I mean, you and I both being horse people, we know,
Hmm. Yeah.
we feel better, but it's kind of cool to see, research support that as well.
Yes. Yes. And it definitely helps the industry and helps the public learn more about when we talk about horses, people don't just go, oh, that's great. They
Yeah,
actually
that's
know
nice.
that
Yeah.
there's benefits behind the industry and why we're doing this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. There's way more to it. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So, in your own words, how would you define an educated cowgirl?
Oh, um, I'd say an educated cowgirl is somebody who's not afraid to, ask the hard questions, be a lifelong learner, continuing to pursue knowledge, knowing when I don't know, I'm
Yeah.
not educated in that. I might need to, learn some more about that, take a lesson or things like that. And somebody who stays in the saddle even when life tries to buck them off, So I think that there's a lot of challenges and things like that that go with being an educated cowgirl. But I think that it makes a big difference when you're ready for the challenge.
Yep. No, exactly, exactly. Thank you to Medica Equine for sponsoring this podcast. Your generous support means so much to me that you believe in my vision for the Educated Cowgirl podcast and will help me to continue to grow the show. Are you having trouble with your horse's skin? Scratches, dew poisoning, rain rot, sweat itch? Most available formulas are greasy and smelly and contain harsh chemicals. Medica is formulated by an equine veterinarian using natural ingredients to be pleasant to handle, gentle on the skin, and incredibly fast and effective against almost all skin issues. And we all know in the horse world, horses aren't the only animals we have. These products also work great on dogs too. Veterinarian level skincare without calling the vet. Grab some today at medicaequine.com, that's MEDICA equine.com, or ask if your local retailer carries Medica. The purity of nature and the power of medicine solutions for equine skin problems. All right, so here's some fun rapid fire questions.
Okay.
All right, so what life and or business hack do you swear by?
Canva
Yep.
is a huge. I have a Canva Pro, but even using it, to create posts, like Facebook posts, images, they have great templates that make
Mm-hmm.
life a lot easier. So don't recreate the wheel. Jump on Canva. A lot of it's free,
Mm-hmm.
and make it so much easier on yourself.
Yeah, no, I use Canva myself and it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So early bird or night owl?
Ooh, probably early bird. Sometimes I'm in bed by like 9 o'clock. I'm tired.
Yeah, yeah. If you were on a deserted island, what three things would you bring?
Ooh, I mean, I probably should say my husband first and not my horse first, right? So.
I mean,
Yeah,
you need
husband
some time
first,
away.
husband horse, probably Mexican food. Endless supply of queso is never a bad thing.
Yeah.
So.
Nice, nice. Okay, and then mares or geldings?
I'm a geldings person. Patty always had geldings. We always felt like it was just a little calmer. There wasn't a girl involved. So
Yeah.
it's always been my thing. Our new trainer here is a mare person, so I'm learning some new benefits of mares. But I think I'll always probably be true to my boys.
Yeah. Great. All right. So this has been so much fun talking with you, Lindsey, and thanks again for coming on. So where can listeners find out more about Branded, or how can they get involved with it? And then where can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're pretty active on our Facebook page, Branded Equine-Based Therapy Services. We also have a great website, and the branded phone numbers on those too. So feel free to reach out to us, via Facebook or phone or email, and love to get connected. I think that being in community with other equine professionals and other people that care about this makes a big difference. So happy to connect with anybody.
Great.
I talk about horses all day long. So
Perfect. Yeah. All right. So thank you, Lindsey.
Thank you, Abby. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Educated Cowgirl. I hope you enjoyed it, learned something new, and will come back for more. In the meantime, if you would like to continue to support the show, make sure you hit that follow button on whichever platform you're listening on, follow me on social media, and make sure to leave me a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you really want to share the podcast, make sure you tag me in your Instagram stories at The Educated Cowgirl. But for now, stay blessed and ride on, cowgirls.